Hello and welcome. My name is Cecile Green. I've been a mission-driven entrepreneur for 25 years, and I'm here today with Round Sky Solutions, which I helped to found with my partner Daniel Little. We're committed to helping mission-driven leaders like yourself find a way to have effective collaborative workplaces. And I wanted to take a moment to just thank all of you who've commented on videos 1 and 2, which introduced the 7 conversations and the 4 zones of life leadership. Really enjoyed the interaction and hearing your perspective on these ideas. And I just wanted to take a moment also and let you know why we're here talking to you about these things. Because after several decades of working in mission-driven organizations, really studying change management and leadership development and researching the best organizational development theory and practice, we've synthesized our own core insights about what lies behind organizational dysfunction and lack of effective personal growth, and essentially where the key leverage points for gaining real traction are. Our mission now is to support committed visionaries and change makers like yourself to get more traction delivering on your mission. So why talk about all this? Really, at the core for us is the fact that mission-driven organizations are critical. They are absolutely essential to our planet's future and the future of humanity. And yet, many mission-driven organizations find themselves stymied by essentially organizational dysfunction in one way or another. It could be lack of capacity to generate the revenue that an organization needs, or interpersonal conflict that derails business operations. It could be lack of an effective strategy that really has people going in different directions. There are many, many different reasons for organizational dysfunction. But honestly, in our research and study, what we discovered is that the organizational dysfunction can be metabolized into effective traction. And this exciting opportunity really that we discovered has to do with how we leverage work communication and therefore can gain far more traction both individually and collectively. What I mean by that specifically is that through using the 7 conversations framework for work conversations, through a core set of integrative practices called CoLab, and a key map for understanding the zones of leadership, we can achieve far more fun, effective, tractionable organizations and individuals. We've introduced these tools in greater depth in videos 1 and 2, and we're here today to share with you, as an example, the experience of an organization putting these lenses into action. So let me introduce you to Woodbelly Pizza Cooperative. I met Woodbelly Pizza last year in the fall, and they are a locally owned and operated organization that sources local food and produces high-quality pizza for sale at farmers markets and catering events. And I was invited to work with Woodbelly Pizza around some interpersonal conflict that was arising for some members of what was then a sole proprietorship. In addition, the employees were interested in buying the organization. So we began with a conversation around their purpose, what their vision, mission, and values were. And within one meeting, we had created a new and compelling purpose for Woodbelly Pizza. From there, we spent the next 6 months training Woodbelly Pizza in the core practices of the 7 conversations, including building out their new business model, getting them through the sale of the business, and an incorporation as a co-op. So here, in their words, is their experience of the 7 conversations and the difference it made for them.
Woodbelly Pizza is located in Cabot, Vermont. It's a worker-owned cooperative that makes pizza at farmers markets and caters private events. We're interested in exploring alternative ways to do business in a rapidly changing world. We're interested in the intersection of power, interpersonal relationships, and the ways in which we all take on accountability and get our work done. I'm David, and my role in Woodbelly is to book all of the catering events and generally lead the event scope and sort of back up everyone else who's doing financial planning, who's working with the different people that we employ, and sort of developing long-term direction for the business. Woodbelly's purpose is to make delicious food employ our friends, support local farmers, and probably most importantly, explore alternative ways of relating to each other and to the wider world.
I'm Suzanne Podheiser. I'm a member worker of Woodbelly, and I play a role in HR. I help with the catering. I come up with recipes and creative ideas for our cookery, and I sometimes help out at events as well.
My name's Wesley, and my role at Woodbelly Pizza is the finance lead and general scope member. I also help as the scribe during meetings and just participate generally in the process of making the business run. Woodbelly's purpose is to deliver very high quality food at an affordable price to a lot of people in various venues, at farmers markets, at events, parties, etc. We use local food from farms that we know, and we use high quality ingredients just to deliver healthy, nutritious food. What Woodbelly is doing is important because there's sort of a gap I perceive between kind of eating healthy and organic and being able to afford it. And in Vermont, we have a lot of great food, but we don't necessarily have a lot of great affordable food. And I think that Woodbelly provides that compromise between quality and affordability.
Before beginning to use the 7 conversations, Woodbelly had a lot of overlapping responsibilities and a real lack of clarity around people's roles and how they were going to carry them out, what the standards were. The big example was whether or not the wood was dry enough. And we went back and forth. People would write letters in all capitals about how the wood was too wet, and other people would say, well, deal with it. I've dealt with it before too. So before we started using these 7 conversations, there was just kind of a lot of chaos and pointing of fingers, and a couple people, primarily myself, picked up most of the slack and took care of things because we knew that if we didn't do them, no one else would. And now what I've kind of learned through implementing these different conversations in the appropriate places is that I can get people to be accountable. I can trust that my coworker who's in charge of scheduling all of the different people that work for us will actually follow through.
Before we began to use the 7 conversations, there was some stress around decision-making, communication, and collaboration. And using the 7 conversations has eased that, made decision-making easier and swifter and effective. And that's really been a wonderful thing in the business.
Before using the 7 conversations, Woodbelly was kind of a mess in terms of leadership because it was really driven by mainly two people that weren't able to really meet on a number of levels, and so constant conflicts between roles and responsibilities arose, and the organization didn't really have a cohesive goal.
What changed for us was kind of this new way of thinking about the business, starting from the business model itself and the kind of purpose of the organization. We'd spelled that out on a piece of binder paper years ago, that we were going to hire our friends and pay good prices for vegetables and try to make enough money in the summer to get to do some fun things in the winter. The purpose conversation that we had as part of using Colab really took it in a different direction, clarified a few things around who we were trying to support and what we were part of. Was it just Provender Farm, or was it actually the larger farm community in northern Vermont? And then out of this whole discussion of business model and purpose, we've been able to kind of give people jobs that they've been able to really dive into. I feel like at this point I'm able to book charitable catering events for the local food bank or other organizations like that, and I don't have to ask every time, is it okay to donate this event? We have a clear rubric and a clear kind of set of values that we use to make these kind of decisions.
What's changed for us using the 7 conversations is that meetings are happening more effectively. We're feeling great coming out of our meetings, which is really nice and not something I've experienced at other businesses I've worked at. I find we interact a lot outside of work, and I find that those interactions go more smoothly as well, and that we feel really appreciative of working together, and that bleeds over into the rest of our lives together also.
I think after using the 7 conversations, Woodbelly Pizza has a much clearer kind of picture of what we do and what services we provide and why we're providing them. I don't think it was always so clear. So the 7 conversations helped us clarify our personal values as relating to the business, and then our business process to kind of deliver on those values.
The value of the 7 conversations was really to separate out certain conversations from others and have them in the appropriate places so that we could get resolution and move forward with the next appropriate action.
I think that the potential of the 7 conversations is to help give people who spend a lot of time together, a lot of time working together, a set of tools that they can use in the situations that arise in everyday life. The tensions, the decision making, the complicated interpersonal stuff that comes up, the intrapersonal stuff that comes up. And so it really gives people a wonderful toolkit, and that's, I think, good for any business.
I guess I see the potential in the 7 conversations to promote a kind of holistic sort of process for your life and livelihood. I have always been interested in integrating my values and goals within my kind of income-generating activities, but I think the 7 conversations really does allow a sort of roadmap towards intermingling those things much more closely.
One of my favorite parts of the 7 conversations is the individual meeting process. You get together with a group and you talk about the things that you want to work on in yourself, and you do so in a supported, collaborative environment. And what I learned about myself, one thing that I was really proud of was that I was already doing some of this work on my own, and doing it in this group allowed me to really expand on it and have accountability around it, and that was something that I really appreciated.
One of the most interesting aspects of this different approach to personal growth has been, for me, taking this kind of hypothesis experiment approach and applying it to myself. So it's no longer that I need to necessarily know the answer or have received wisdom from anyone else, but I can try something out that might be interesting, see how it works out, see what other people observe, and then develop a new approach from there.
Using the individual meeting practice has allowed me to see the sort of value of working with others and hearing kind of a mirroring back from others about my own sort of internal process. And I really appreciate the 7 conversations framing of it this way, because it does create a sort of safer space and allow me to like kind of reflect more deeply and meaningfully with other people.
One of the other great things about working on my own growth with my collaborators and my friends and partner is that they're all really supporting me in doing so, and that they understand what I'm working on, and I understand what they are working on. And we can look at each other as we go through day-to-day life and say, hey, I can see that you're working on that, and you're doing a really great job. And that's a really nice feeling.
We've used all of the 7 conversations as we've transitioned from a single owner to a cooperative. The one that we use the most, that I think has actually been the most transformative, has been the operational conversation. This has meant that each of our standard meeting practices has really generated concrete actions or had a new kind of governance approach, which I guess is actually a separate conversation. But we are able to now assign tasks, get things done, and have clear reports back from people about how they're doing on something, whether or not they're actually fulfilling their responsibilities. It's been really helpful to just hear at the beginning of each meeting where people are on projects. Are they actually, moving ahead on a project, or are they stalled? Do they need some help? It makes it a lot easier to not have to always check back in and say, well, are you doing this? Are you doing this?
I think the most transformative of the 7 conversations was actually the interpersonal tension process meeting. And I say that because a lot of the confusion before we started using the 7 conversations was a result of interpersonal tensions. And so starting to peel back and kind of examine each tension as it was occurring really helped us to move on and put to rest a lot of the backlog.
I really enjoyed hearing from Wes, David, and Suzanne how the 7 conversations gave them a business with traction and a future they are excited about. I think you can hear in their words how big a difference effective ways of conducting these core work conversations made to them. In other words, the missing piece of the equation really is good process. So if you watched video 1, you'll see that it takes both good people with good intentions and good process to really make a good organization.